Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world. On Newsfeed today, social media spreads video of a killing described by some as a modern-day lynching. We'll have the story of the death of Ahmaud Arbery. And Facebook announced some of the 40 people who will be on its new Oversight board. Virtual reality used in an app to help women dealing with harassment in Singapore. And is it time to say goodbye to open office spaces? We look at how the coronavirus is changing the future of work. And top of our newsfeed, Ahmaud Arbery, the killing of a 25-year-old black man in Georgia by two white men has invoked a sense of historic pain for many in America. What happened in late February on a quiet street in the southern states has been described by some as a modern-day lynching. The courts are closed in the US due to the pandemic lockdown, so this won't be examined in a courtroom until next month at the earliest. And the reason that a killing from February is getting mass international attention in May? Because social media spread the video of it happening. And a warning, this video is violent and some of you may find it upsetting.
This mobile phone footage went viral on Tuesday. It purportedly shows the last moments of Ahmaud Arbery's life. He was unarmed and, according to his family, was out jogging when he was shot by former policeman Gregory McMichael and his son Travis. They told police they thought Arbery was a burglar, but his family says that is nonsense.
I do believe that Ahmaud was just out for his daily jog. I have believed that since day one. He's been doing this for years.
A large crowd of demonstrators marched through the neighborhood where Arbery was killed because his alleged killers have not been arrested.
We see clearly in that video that there were three shotgun blasts, which goes towards the mindset of the shooter, that his intent was to kill Ahmaud Arbery.
A grand jury has been requested to consider charges, but that won't happen until June at the earliest. This incident happened in February. It has only received such attention now because the phone footage has gone viral.
We are all relieved that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, as of last night, started an independent investigation. We are hopeful that that investigation will actually do a lot more than the original investigation to uncover the truth and lead to the arrest of these men.
The state's Attorney General, Chris Carr, says he's deeply concerned over the events that led to Arbery's death. But people are not satisfied with his delayed response, and justice for Ahmaud is being demanded. There is some powerful backing from Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden, but for Arbery's family, it is of little comfort. His mother says she has not and will not watch the footage.
You know, I saw my son come in the world, and seeing him leave the world is not something that I want to see ever.
The men involved, the ones carrying the guns in the video, Travis and Greg McMichael, have not been charged.
Now, Facebook have made public the first 20 names of those who will sit on its Oversight board. Eventually, 40 big brains with immaculate educations and CVs will decide what stays on Facebook and what is taken down. But will all that intellect be enough to stop the social network from hosting a live stream of a man murdering people in a mosque? We'll see. Here's Lila.
These are the people with the power to overrule Mark Zuckerberg. They're the members of Facebook's new Oversight board, which can overturn decisions by management.
The board will take final and binding decisions on whether specific content should be allowed or removed from Facebook and Instagram.
Zuckerberg came up with the idea in 2018 after the company was criticized for its handling of problematic content. 3 of the board's new members wrote in the New York Times that the board will decide what stays up and what comes down on the giant social media platforms. But Facebook's algorithms and human moderators will still make the initial calls, and the board will only become involved on particularly difficult and significant cases. And users will also be able to flag cases too.
Of course, the board will be entirely free to look at the issues that it wants to look at, brought to it by users or indeed by Facebook. As I explained, if the board then wants to make a pronouncement which goes beyond a specific adjudication on a specific piece of content, but the board also wants to make a wider pronouncement and say, look, Facebook, we think you're just drawing the line in the wrong place between free expression and content that is removed and sanctioned.
The first 20 members make up half of what will eventually be a 40-person board. Amongst them are Denmark's former Prime Minister Helle Thorning-Schmidt, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Tawakkol Karman, Maina Kiai, Director of Human Rights Watch Global Alliances and Partnerships Programme, and the former editor of the UK's Guardian newspaper, Ellen Rusbridger, who wrote,
Will it work? Let's see. There is, in my view, no excuse for not trying. The balancing of free expression with the need for a better organised public square is one of the most urgent causes I can imagine.
The members hail from a variety of fields, from politics to the arts. And between them, they have lived in more than 27 countries and speak at least 29 languages.
Okay, let's spin around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Thursday. The former treasurer for the Vatican and convicted, then acquitted paedophile priest Cardinal George Pell knew of child sexual abuse against boys by members of the Catholic Church in Australia in the 70s and 80s, but did nothing to stop it. That is the finding of an Australian Royal Commission into abuse in the church, which has just released its details. Pell was convicted of the assault of 2 boys, which allegedly happened in the 90s. He was jailed last year. He was freed on appeal last month. Donald Trump is obsessed with painting his border wall with black paint. The Washington Post say they've seen documents which say the painting will add $500 million to the wall's cost. Trump thinks the black paint will get hot in the sun and people will be put off climbing it, which is a surprisingly good idea from a man who thinks injecting disinfectant could be used to treat COVID-19. And NASA says they are working with actor and Scientologist Tom Cruise to make a movie on the International Space Station. It is not known when it will be filmed. It is not known how it will be filmed. Will there be a crew up there with Cruise? And there is no news on who else is in it. Interesting idea, but could end up being gimmicky space junk. Now to Singapore, where some female app developers have put together some software which takes a hard look at sexual harassment and offers women some advice as to how to deal with it.
Wow, your shirt is really see-through. Are you wearing matching underwear? I can't stop thinking about it.
These scenarios were from, we actually conducted in-depth interviews with a lot of survivors who have experienced campus sexual harassment. Yeah, so then we got like quotes and then like their stories, and then we adapted it into the VR scenarios.
It felt like very physically close, firstly, with the whole VR technology thing, and it was just like really like disgusting to hear such like crass remarks. But at the same time, I know that these things like really take place in everyday life.
want people to feel empowered to respond in the moment, so that thereafter, even if they look back on it, they're like, yeah, you know, in that situation, I did what I could do to protect myself, and I feel okay about that.
Well, time now for a look at some COVID-19 stories that you may have missed. The United Nations has put out a call for donations, saying it needs $6.7 billion to fight COVID-19. The UN says the money will go to the most vulnerable nations. Earlier this week, $8 billion was raised in a funding drive led by the European Union. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund predict that Africa alone will need $44 billion. An investigation by the Tech Transparency Project has found Facebook is still hosting pages that advertise pangolins for sale. The mammals are hunted for their meat and scales, which are used in traditional Chinese medicine. And some researchers think that a pangolin may have been the bridge that allowed COVID-19 to spread from bats to humans. These scaly critters are known to carry coronaviruses. And these elephants in Thailand normally have a tourist riding around on their back. But thanks to the outbreak, tourists are staying away, which means more than 100 of these beautiful animals have been freed from bondage and allowed to return to their homeland. That is Mae Cham in northern Thailand. Fortnite Games say they'll host a party royale this weekend. The ever-popular first-person shooter says it's seen a huge surge in usage during the pandemic and will reward people with another music event on Friday. It's held on a newly created island in the game, and players are encouraged to leave their weapons at home and hang out with friends. Well, many people have begun to work from home as a way of ensuring social distancing. Germany wants to make it a right enshrined in law. But for those of us who have to come to the office on a daily, what will that office space be like in the post-COVID future?
As some countries begin to relax their lockdown orders, people are slowly returning to work. Many businesses are making changes to the workplace to keep employees healthy and virus-free. Global real estate company Cushman & Wakefield has come up with a workplace design concept called 6 Feet Office.
It comes down to some basic concepts, things like colored carpet, or in a less sophisticated or expensive application, taping off what 6 feet workstations look like. So it's very visual. In some cases, installing plexiglass or some other form of sneeze or cough guards to give folks additional insurance.
In their new design, the floors and walls are likely to be covered in visual instructions. Employees will grab a paper placement for their desk each morning, and at the end of the day, the paper is thrown away, preventing the spread of the virus on surfaces. Another approach is to encourage employees to walk clockwise, creating a one-way flow to minimize transmission. But that's not all. Installing high-end air filtration systems is imperative, as some places are poorly ventilated. Some may also need to invest in new types of contactless technology, so employees do not need to touch too many surfaces. For years, the amount of privacy given to each person working in an office has been steadily decreasing, as companies have adopted open-plan layouts. They make for cool-looking spaces and plenty of face-to-face interaction, but they also make it impossible to keep a distance from your co-workers. And a study of more than 40,000 workers in over 300 offices concluded that thanks to a combination of audio and visual pollution, open-plan layouts are actually bad for productivity. Some are asking if there's a need for offices at all. Will the world's legions of new home workers realize they're happy where they are?
But I think in the long term, a lot of companies are going to, having gone through this, are going to realize that maybe remote work is feasible in a lot of jobs and situations where maybe in the past they really didn't think it could work. And I think what my conversations with companies are revealing is employees are remaining productive. They're, getting their work done.
The future of how we work is surely going to change. And perhaps Zoom meetings with gate-crashing kids in the background will be a common sight. With employees proving they can be just as efficient from home, it may be testing times for workplaces that don't prioritize health and well-being.
And that is all from the Newsfeed team. Do reach out to us with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. You'll find me at Kamali Melbourne. We're 24/7 on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel and I'll see you again tomorrow.